Welcome to Nugget 93 with Steve Groman. Now we're going to get into the black holes.
Oh boy. Hope we can get out.
I don't think we can get in or out.
I don't think so either.
The reason that we're talking about that is because the Event Horizon project used Arizona Radio Observatory sub-millimeter telescope as part of this network in combination with the radio telescope on Mount Graham. From the BBC's talking about the 8 telescopes from around the globe worked together.
Again, these are millimeter and sub-millimeter waves. Now, most people know how small a millimeter is, and a sub-millimeter is even smaller than that. They're picking up frequencies is what they're picking up. They all sent their information back to Boston where, of course, Miss Katie Bauman, which we'll get into her in another nugget, and the finding of the first black hole, they say, that everybody's familiar with anyway. But it all went back to Boston, and from there they developed and built this image that everybody sees.
The Heinrich Hertz sub-millimeter telescope, that is part of the 2 there in the greater Tucson area. It is the sub-millimeter telescope, and it's named after Heinrich Hertz. And many of you might know Heinrich Hertz's name, at least Hertz. You've heard of Hertz when you're dealing with
talking about electricity, right?
Right, or any sound,
60 hertz,
right?
60 cycle, 60 hertz.
He was a German physicist who clarified and expanded the electromagnetic theory of light. He built the apparatus to produce and detect VHF and UHF radio waves in the late 1800s. What's interesting is this man was actually performing science, true science.
He was doing some good stuff, absolutely.
It was something that could be observed, tested, and retested.
Demonstrated, built,
right.
worked with.
And he was working with the theory of light, which again, it is probably just a theory because they don't know right if it waves or...
Well, right. Look, as it says there, electromagnetic theory of light. There's certainly indications that that is what it is, although people really don't know what light is. I think we covered that on a previous nugget.
Right. You talk about, is it waving? Is it a frequency?
Yeah, is it a photon? What is it? What's waving? And they really don't know. I had mentioned, I think, in our misconceptions about space, but I've actually talked to a NASA physicist about this kind of thing and talked about light, and it was interesting to hear from him that nobody knows what light is, and interesting that we can't see light. And again, we cover that on other lessons and in our misconceptions about space.
And we went to this website, Plus Magazine, getting a little bit of information on black holes. And they had this, what most people would, if you're just skimming through it, you'd say, oh, that's a picture, that's beautiful. But look at what it says below, a simulated view of a black hole image. It's simulation. These are computer models.
A black hole, they say, is a region of space-time, we'll talk about that in a minute, where the force of gravity is so strong that nothing, not even light, can escape from the region. Black holes are formed when a lot of mass is concentrated into a very tiny region of space. For example, if we manage to concentrate all of the mass of the Earth into a sphere of a radius of a few centimeters, then that object would be a black hole. That's because densely packed mass exerts an immense gravitational pull. You can easily see this by considering Newton's law of gravity. Well, once again, there is nobody that is going to take all of Earth's mass and condense it down into a few centimeters. Obviously, this is computer work. This is math work. It sounds interesting, no question about it.
It does sound interesting.
I think the Bible talks about that. But let's mention space-time for a minute. That was another thing when I was talking to this NASA physicist. It was interesting because I asked him about space-time. He said, that's nonsense. He said, there's absolutely no way. And something of interest to me, anyway, about space-time, when you see these kind of images, you'll notice that they'll use the Earth and they'll use this fabric of space-time sort of depiction, and it's always pulling down. If it's vacuum out there, and there's zero gravity, and it's just a pure vacuum out in space, the way they say, then that fabric of space-time, so to speak, would be 360 in all directions. It's always indicated as a downward direction, which makes no sense if you think about it logically. Strange concept if you've never thought about it, but give it some thought. It's 360 all around. They should be bending to the side, to the top, to the angles and all that.
I think this is a crazy-looking picture. It's got the simulated picture of the Earth that we know isn't true. What is this thing that looks like a...
Well, it's a simulated satellite.
Oh, it's a simulated satellite.
And then a simulated space-time.
And the
fabric.
space-time, I think that looks like a badminton birdie or whatever those things were called. It says a black hole is a region of space-time that is extremely warped. If the theory is to be believed, there's an interesting statement, then the curvature of space-time is infinite within a black hole. But we don't know whether this is really true for black holes that exist in nature. It might just be an artifact of the theory. In any case, gravity is so strong within a black hole that not even light can escape.
First, they're talking kind of factual, and then they say, well, we don't really know if it's really true in nature. That means if it's really true in reality, not just on our computers. But then they go right in back to factual stuff. In any case, gravity is so strong within a black hole that not even light can escape. Well, they just admitted that they don't even know if there is such a thing.
That whole paragraph is full of, well, we just
kind of contradictory.
Right, but they show these crazy pictures and everybody gets amazed by it. And that's our point, is we want you to think critically about these sort of things. But Einstein's theory, notice it's still a theory, also says that nothing can travel faster than light. This includes information, because information must always be conveyed via some physical signal, such as sound or light. Since light cannot escape from a black hole, neither can information. Whatever happens in a black hole cannot be communicated to the outside world. Well, that's convenient, isn't it?
It is convenient. A black hole, they say, comes with a boundary of no return, called its event horizon.
Oh, so that's where they get the name Event Horizon for that project.
Yes. Once you've passed that horizon, you will never come back. Again, this is all just theory now, just concepts.
Sounds like a sci-fi movie.
Sounds like a sci-fi movie.
Script, at least.
But what will happen to you? If the black hole is small, then the difference between the curvature of space-time at your head and at your feet is so large that you get stretched, like spaghetti. But if the black hole is very big, then gravitational field is very uniform, even though it's strong. So the difference between gravity at your head and gravity at your feet wouldn't be that large. You can approach the horizon of a very big black hole, such as the one at the center of the galaxy, and not feel anything at all.
I think that seems more like a ride at a park.
An amusement park, right? It's presented so factual oftentimes, and it is just their ideas of stuff. Go back to Colossians 2:8. It says, don't let anyone fool you by using senseless arguments. These arguments may sound wise, but they are only human teaching. They come from the powers of this world and not from Christ. And boy, does that explain that.
And then here from news.com in Australia, black hole picture revealed for the first time. Astronomers herald a humanity breakthrough. You know, I don't believe this was a humanity breakthrough. It was a sci-fi breakthrough, and they show this picture of the Earth where the different satellites are positioned, and they're all honing in on Boston.
It does say there on the bottom, scientists have revealed the first image. Once again, anytime you see the word image, it's something that's been created.
Well, it has to be, because there's a radio telescopes.
Yes, and it says ever made of a black hole. They make these things up, and then people see it, and they think they've been told, but they actually come out and say sometimes that it's a picture of a black hole, and it's just not true.
Well, that's generally what the public consumption of that whole Event Horizon project was. Is like, here we got these pictures. They were just assembling data gathered by these 8 radio telescopes around the world. Astronomers created the picture.
Correct.
Unlike smaller black holes that come from collapsed stars, supermassive black holes are mysterious in origin.
Well, I would say the other ones are mysterious in origin also. Again, these are beliefs, these are theories, these are concepts that make sense to them, and it's presented to us as though it's true.
This one's event horizon, the point of no return around it, where light and matter begin to fall inexorably into the abyss, is as big as our entire solar system. I just really feel like I'm reading a science fiction novel.
Book. It goes back also to the point of minimization of humanity. Once again, this single black hole, they say they found out there, is as big as our entire solar system. Everything they talk about that's all big and massive and awesome and impressive and all that, and it's so much more than we are. And if it's bigger than our entire solar system, then we're in that solar system, and we're this little speck of whatever on this little rock in this solar system. It just is to make us insignificant, but that's just not at all what God says about us.
Again, Colossians 2:8, this is the NLT, and I know that this is your favorite version of this.
Don't let anyone capture you with empty philosophies and high-sounding nonsense that come from human thinking and from the spiritual powers of this world, rather than from Christ. Once again, it's not God's idea. All this stuff is human thinking, and it's also from the spiritual powers of this world, the Bible says, not from Christ.
And we want to end with Isaiah 45:18. For thus saith the Lord that created the heavens, God himself that formed the earth and made it. He hath established it. He created it not in vain. He formed it to be inhabited. I am the Lord, and there is none else. He created this earth to be inhabited. We are his prized possession.
And no other one out there. God talks about the earth and the heavens. He mentioned the heavens here. He mentions it in the Ten Commandments. He mentions it in the creation chapter in Genesis. He does talk about the heavens. If there was something there, he certainly would have told us.
Looking up in the heavens is a wonderful thing to do.
Beautiful.
It shows God's handiwork.
It absolutely does.
All right. Well, thank you, and we will get a little bit deeper into the black hole in the next nugget. The Get America Great Again, Psalm 33:12 T-Series. It's not only a t-shirt to be worn to encourage people to get America great again, but for you to use as a witnessing tool and explain what Psalm 33:12 means. Go to our website to see more about the Creation Seminar series and our t-shirt series. This is a listener-supported ministry, and if you are enjoying these nuggets and the other videos that we have been producing and putting on our YouTube channel, Steve Groman, and on Facebook, we certainly appreciate if you are able to partner with us on a monthly basis or even consider a one-time donation. We are a listener-supported ministry. Thank you.